Alright, so in this video we're going to go over generics. So generics in C# are quite easy. And they're pretty powerful as well, as we'll soon see. Okay, so let's just create a class that can handle a generic member. So we'll have a public class, we'll just call it box, I guess. And then, whenever we want something to be able to handle generics, we add angle brackets, and we add an identifier for each type we want it to be able to handle. So here we just want it to handle a single type, so we'll just give it a single T. But if we wanted to handle two generic types, we would add a T and a T2 maybe. And these don't have to be T, this could be like my type. It doesn't really matter, but the standard is to use T. So, we can add, for example, a public property. Public T generic. And we can just give it a get and a set. And there we go. That's just a simple box type. So if we create var box equals new box, and notice we have to give it a type. So we'll make this something that we can use to box an int. Excuse me. So what we can do is now it knows that our box, or T is int, see where it says down there? So we can have box.generic equals, and then, sure, int32 max value. And see, just like that. We can set T, you can make T arrays. Now let's say that we had an interface that we, wanted to use. Let's say we didn't want T to work with everything, but we wanted it to work with only our public interface. I interface, sure, why not? And this has a, how about this has an int Okay, so this has an int generic get set. So this wants to make sure, we want to make sure that every T that we use to the box extends this interface. Well, we can constrain that. We can say where T extends I interface. And now you'll notice it doesn't like int anymore because int doesn't extend this interface. So let's show an example of a class that does. Public class my class extends I interface, and we'll let this implement the missing members. So okay, it has an int generic get set, and we'll change the name of this so we show you that these aren't really directly related. So we have our interface and we have our class that implements the interface. So now I interface. See, we can use I interface here. And you see it has new my class. And see, now we can only assign this to things that extend I interface. To do my class, we can be even more specific. But as we know, we love interfaces, so we're going to use those as much as possible. So we could also do an I interface, I equals new my class. And see, put in the interface and be just fine. As you might suspect, if we make this my class, it won't be happy because we can't, we can't cast that way safely. So that's all there is to generics. This is a very short, contrived example, but you can really do a lot with them. And especially since you constrain them, and you can give them multiple constraints. You can say, where it extends that, and we want it to be a class. This must become before other constraints because class implies extension, and we can only extend one class in C#. There's no multiple inheritance. So okay, so it has to be a class. So it doesn't really matter with I interface because it knows there will be an implementation down the line. But you can add multiple constraints. You can have it extend my class explicitly if you want. So I interface doesn't work anymore because it requires the explicit extension of my class. We can't have it extend multiple classes though, so keep that in mind. We can't have it, we can't have it extend both my class and thread because that's multiple inheritance. That's no good. So yeah, just a real short video. Generics are really quite powerful. Use them.